welcome to this week's Three Legs Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean.
Lee.
No Chris tonight. He's otherwise occupied, and just want to apologise for being a couple of days late with this week's show. But we're a little bit under the weather in Three Legs Towers.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure people are going to notice why we're recording this 2 days late. About halfway through this podcast.
If we get halfway through before there's any coughing or sniffing, I will be amazed.
It's not going to be halfway.
No, there we go.
The joys of flu.
Yeah, controversially, have you got flu? I've had the sniffles, and you got this off me.
I'm a man.
But yeah, controversially, we have like a pre-2020 cold.
So not cool now.
I know, it's very, very unusual.
Yeah, old school illness. Right, what's next? Bring on the diphtheria. How? I don't want to know how you get that. Right, so we have a new season. It's started. F1 is back, etc., etc. It's race week. Everything's happening at once. Oh God,
it's still race week.
It's still race week.
It's another
part 2.
race week.
My med's too strong or something. Yeah, we had the first race of the season. We got to see the new cars turn a wheel in anger. Now that before we do the race, now that we've seen them on track, what do we think to the new 2022 spec cars? Now that 2021 has finally happened in 2022, I just had to get that in one last time.
I think they look great, especially face on when they're heading like towards the camera. I think looks wise, they look awesome. I was slightly worried by the field spread.
Yeah.
That seemed worse than last year. Like the distance between, like, for Jesus Christ, the McLarens and the Red Bulls and Ferraris. It was like back to old McLaren Honda days, wasn't it? Which I'm sure we'll talk about. It was
how quick that spread seemed to open up as well.
Yeah, and it was like a couple of laps had gone. It was like 36 seconds for like front to back. I hope that closes up.
I think that may have been a little bit artificial because there was a bit of a hold-up after Mick Schumacher got turned round.
Maybe.
There was by the end of the first lap, there was a noticeable sort of those who didn't get stuck in front of the Ocon-Schumacher thing and those behind it, but it did still seem to spread over those first few laps quite a bit.
Considering that before this race started, we were hoping that the field might be split by like 2 or 3 seconds. You know, that seems it just seemed like a pretty massive gap. Also there seemed to be a lot of like we were expecting this like really close like mid-pack battle, but there seemed to be a lot of gaps, you know, where there was, so you had like Red Bull, Ferrari, gap, Mercedes, gap was a Haas. That seemed to be in a little fight of their own, and that seemed to go down the order. I don't know whether that's because maybe the cars are closer in performance, but certain teams are doing a better job at getting on top of it quicker. So if that's the case, things should bunch up eventually. But this whole hope of Formula One revising the rules like MotoGP did that year, and then all of a sudden we watch MotoGP and all the bikes were together lap after lap after lap, doesn't seem to have come true.
No, it may do over time. I mean, every F1 reboot, for want of a better description, it's always taken a little while to establish a pecking order and for teams to work out where they are in that order and how to move further up, or get things completely wrong and plummet back down, as we've seen over the last couple of years with certainly Williams and Haas. And, you know, being able to tell who's got it right first, maybe not an indicator of how it's going to be for the next 3 years until the 4 years until the next big change in 2026. I mean, there's a lot of teams still trying to come to terms with understanding the car, McLaren being one.
It's hard to tell as well how much is car and how much is power unit, because we saw all the Ferrari teams doing quite well. We saw all the Honda or the Red Bull powertrain teams having a few reliability issues, except for Tsunoda. And then the Mercedes teams all seem to be perhaps a little bit down on where they were last year. So whether that's something we're going to see a lot of variation track to track, as certain tracks sort of favour different power units, then who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one to start with at Bahrain, just because the temperatures are radically different to what you get for the majority of the season. I think there's a chance when we get to Saudi Arabia this weekend, we'll see other oddities going on. Because, I mean, all right, it's going to be a couple of hours later in the day, but it's still going to be better on the bloody warm side. So the teams that had cooling problems, notably McLaren, I think those same problems are still going to be there. And it could be we could be well into Europe before things start to settle out.
Yeah, that's why I think this championship is going to be. Even if the cars end up becoming closer and the teams that we think should be the top teams start creeping back, I think by the time they creep back, it's going to be too little, too late. I think the fight does really look to be Ferrari and Red Bull, which I can only think will just end up being Red Bull, because at some point Ferrari will Ferrari themselves.
You never know. Maybe this is the year that they don't.
Maybe.
Got it. The curse of Kimi.
Kimi's gone. Ferrari are good.
Yeah. Now that Kimi's left F1, Ferrari are coming good again, because of all that money that they paid him not to race when they signed Alonso. And it's some ancient Viking curse that he's invoked on them, that they will be pants for the rest of his career in F1. And now he's left F1, the first race after he's gone.
I don't know. It's Ferrari. I think we need to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, as I said to a friend of the podcast, Dan O'Brien, when I was on his radio show at the weekend, if Ferrari entered a shooting themselves in the foot competition, they would be disqualified for shooting the wrong foot. Right, so the race. It was exciting. I will certainly give it that. It wasn't one of the Bowfests. It dropped off a little bit in the middle, but these things usually tend to do.
I seem to remember there was a bit, maybe about 15 laps from the end, where I said to you, this needs a safety car or something just to liven it up. Which we got.
We definitely got the safety
there was
car.
definitely a point where it was like, this needs a little something just to get it going.
Well, we certainly got that, and it did it did liven things up quite a bit. In good ways for some and in bad ways for others. Right. I mean, doing the team-by-team thing would really be starting off with Red Bull, but there's quite a lot to talk about with them. You know, there's definitely more than 2 DNFs. And, I mean, the cars were quick.
Yeah.
Max was looking like he could well be on for the win. Perez, chance of pushing for third, double podium for him. And then if it could go wrong, it did.
Just before we go on to what went wrong, I feel Perez was in a bit of an iffy place in Red Bull. He was almost drifted into being Bottas in this race before things started going wrong for them.
Yeah, he was there, but he wasn't really doing much with it.
Yeah, and kind of out of the window as well, out of the window where he could do harm to the Ferraris. I was a bit confused at where Perez's pace had gone, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think up until sort of, you know, we really noticed Perez, he was quite anonymous, wasn't he? He was less of a threat to Sainz than Sainz was to Verstappen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, though, is it the curse of the second Red Bull car, or has it just been made completely undrivable for anyone that isn't Max?
I don't think it can be, because these cars, I mean, fair enough, they can jump in them in the simulator and stuff like that, but because they're so new, the teams don't know what their drivers need.
I think they'll have a damn good idea.
I don't think they. I don't think they will because they won't know what the grip levels or anything like that. You know, they won't until when you've got a car that goes from like surface aero being the major player to ground effect. They're not until there's a few laps in like a few races under the belt. Even the drivers won't know what they really want out of the car. So, I think that it should have been a level playing field. It could just be simply the fact that the Verstappen is much better than Perez. You know, maybe that's it. Maybe he's just dragging the most out of the car because he's just simply better than him. But I would have wanted him to be closer, really, so especially at this point.
Yeah, I mean, last time regulations changed, Red Bull I think thought they'd built a car for Vettel, and it ended up being a car more for Ricciardo. So you would like to think they'd kind of hedged their bets and not go for one over the other in case they really got it wrong again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a bit worrying, but we'll see how he goes. He might have just not had a great race this time. You never know.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, you can have a complete off day. There were enough drivers had those last year.
Yeah.
And there's been enough number 2 Red Bull drivers that have had them all career. Which we will get to later when we get to all the former Red Bull drivers, of which there are many. Yeah, it was... I'm going to get shouted at for saying this, but it was good to see Red Bull walk away from a season opener with 0 points, just so we didn't get wall-to-wall bloody Christian media Horner.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, him and Toto, I'm getting a bit tired of them both, I'm afraid.
I mean, there are more interviewable team principals.
I think they're more interviewable because we don't interview them as much.
Yeah, you get overexposure, don't you, when it's the same two all the time.
Yeah, but I think the problem is it's overexposure and the fact they both really fucking enjoy it as well.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, you can see when they're doing interviews, they're not doing it to promote the brand. They're doing it to promote themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to have a bit more Binotto into the mix while Ferrari.
Yeah, a man of uncertain linguistic skills.
So he did several interviews in English this weekend. All seemed fine. He seemed fairly comfortable. Why he wouldn't do it for Netflix, who knows? But
maybe like Fernando, he's got a deal with Amazon. Which is why there was next to no Alonso in Drive to Survive this year. That big AWS logo that appears on the Alpines might be a bit of a giveaway.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh well. If I never see Drive to Survive again, I will be fine.
Well, apparently, Dominicali is in discussions with Netflix over Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Basically, stop making it a drama and stop making things up.
They're like one season away between like a Drive to Survive Stranger Things crossover episode.
I don't know. I think right now it's a case of they're going to rename it The Only Way Is Paddock. But yeah, apparently Dominicali's not massively happy with the fact that they're inventing narratives. And doing the creative editing, which we talked about last week, to bring up these stories which are in no way related to what's actually going on, except for the words were said, just not in that context and at that time, and as part of those conversations.
Yeah.
But
it's like
we're not the ideal audience, though, are we?
No, but no, you're right. We're not who it's aimed for, and that would be fine if it wasn't a legitimate sport. You know, that's it's not like it's not pro wrestling, and that's exactly what Drive to Survive feels like. It feels like watching pro wrestling. It would be the same as if you did the same sort of like storylines and things like that you get on the run up to WrestleMania. It would be the same if you had those on the run up to the next UFC.
It's like you've got someone sat there going, okay, that's the good guy. We'll make him the bad guy.
Yeah, it's not. The idea is that the sport should supply the drama, not a writer.
Unless it is completely fixed, as various people were claiming over the winter break. We're not going into that one either. But
my God! No, hang on. I need to tell you this.
But just before you say it, the Twitter mute button has had some serious use these last 3 months.
Oh no, I don't mute or block anybody. It's my Twitter policy. I can unfollow them. It's easy enough just to unfollow people.
Well, no, if you mute them, then you don't get to see people retweeting them as well.
No, that's fine. If people want to retweet them, then I feel if people I speak to retweet things, then I should see it. So
you can always just keep scrolling if you don't like it.
Exactly, you don't, and you don't need to get upset. Nobody needs to get upset. I was flicking through what was that other thing, TikTok, the other day, and I came across a fully grown man that was in like a Ferrari child's bed, which he appears to make his TikToks from. And he talks about Formula One. He's American. And he legitimately had a conspiracy theory about Mercedes. That Mercedes, I mean, obviously he doesn't watch that closely because he didn't realize it was only on one car. But he noticed that the Mercedes now run fluorescent yellow around the numbers on the car, which is just Lewis's.
Yeah.
And which has turned it into Nico Rosberg's car as well, I might add. But
well, he's wearing Nico Rosberg's helmet, so
yes.
I know, it's fucking wild. And all you if you put that on Twitter, all you'll get is he was wearing yellow in karting. But this guy was saying that Mercedes have put fluorescent logos around the numbers because in the rules it says the number has to be clearly visible, and this guy thinks Toto Wolff is at some point in the season going to try and get the whole grid disqualified because his cars are the only ones you can see the numbers on.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, there have been some frivolous protests over the years. That, I think, would be stretching it even beyond frivolous.
My reply was, this is why people don't think Americans should have Formula One.
Did he have fluorescent numbers on his Ferrari bed?
I don't know. I imagine he's got a burner laptop and he lives in his mum's basement.
I thought burner laptops weren't a thing anymore because Samsung fixed the battery problems.
Ooh.
I'll get me coat. Talking of bad jokes, I would like to thank everyone who got in touch about last week's charge to barge joke. I said it landed somewhere.
What?
I don't even remember that.
I can't remember. No,
it didn't land here.
Susie Wolf Formula E Netflix series,
right?
Potential.
Oh,
shall we just move on to McLaren?
Did we talk about the fuel situation for Red Bull?
Oh no,
the whole reason they had 2 DNFs.
No, we didn't actually mention the fuel pump, did we?
No. So yeah, that's I think what they've said. It looked like it was some kind of fueling issue, same or similar for both cars.
Yeah. Now the thing is with the fuel pump system, some of them are spec parts that they're told to use by F1, and some of them are team parts that they can either source or make themselves. And it looks like it wasn't the spec parts that went wrong.
So it's their own fault.
So yeah, it was mechanical faults with both of their own bits. And
yikes! And
Max's steering issue that he was complaining very bitterly about after his last pit stop. Scarbs pointed out actually it was a bent suspension rod on one of the cars, and it looked like it got damaged in the pits.
Oh. As if they've twatted it with one of the big wheels.
Yeah.
That'd be a problem.
So that's why
a
we're
lot
having
of bad pit stops, wasn't there? A lot of bad pit stops this week. You know, I take it it's getting used to the new size wheels.
Yeah, there was certainly a lot of slower ones because obviously these wheels are a lot heavier and it's taken them a lot of time. I think they were saying at one point teams haven't been able to do as much practice because the tyres are so much heavier. They can't practice for as long.
That was Ted's fact.
Was
of
that
the
one
weekend.
of Ted's facts of the week? Was it?
Yes.
Oh, fucking hell.
Well, Crofty said it on the Sunday, and everyone instantly said, "Yes, we know you've been told that. Ted told it to you yesterday during qualifying."
But yeah, I think it is going to take a little bit of time, I think, for them to get back to the sort of sub 2 second pit stop.
I mean, it looks like now the 2.5 to 3.5 second stop is going to be the average. Although, don't forget they did bring the new things in towards the end of last season, where there's at least a tenth of a second pause before the completed work light comes on for each wheel gun. So that was, I mean, they did that for safety and just to make sure that all the wheels actually went on.
Except in F2, where they ended up with like 2 cars with 3 wheels at one point.
Yeah, and there's even less people to do that, so they should know when if they put a wheel on or not, because the other guy won't be responsible because they're the other guy. It's only one person per wheel. So yeah, it was mechanical gremlins all round for Red Bull and their powertrains. Was it the fuel pump that actually caused Perez to lock up, or was that just the engine seizing up completely?
I think it was the fuel pump caused the engine to seize, caused Perez to spin. So I think they were linked, but it was not directly the fuel. I think actually his engine is fucked. I think he's going to be on to engine number 2 this weekend.
Now that is not a good sign.
It's going to be a problem later in the year. It is going to be a problem if it's one they can't take back to. Is it Milton Keynes they've got their powertrains? Is it all part of the same campus?
Yeah, I think
if they can't take it back there and fix it, that is going to be an issue.
Is it 3 engines?
I think so, as far as I know. For 23 races.
Yeah, 3 engines. 3 engines isn't enough anyway. We saw that last year.
Well,
so
don't forget
one now.
Don't forget, it's not 23 races. It's 23 and 2/3 because of the sprints.
Very true.
That sounds like a Naked Gun film.
Either that or your record player's on the fritz. Or maybe if you play it at that speed, then Kylie Minogue really is Rick Astley. Anyone old enough will get that. All right, we'll carry on. Yeah, so it's with the sprints as well. 3 seems to be a little bit tight.
Yeah, it's a bit ambitious as it is without having shat through an engine in one race.
And of course, he's not the only one because it looks like Gasly's engine's completely toast as well.
Yes.
We'll get to AlphaTauri in a bit, but yeah, now McLaren. Anyway, McLaren.
They were there, weren't they?
Yeah, they took part. Are we rechristening it the McLaren Participation Award this season? Because they turned up and drove around and.
I think
it wasn't good, was it?
It wasn't good. I think probably premature to say for the season. There's, they would be, I think, a bit early to say they're shite all year, but yeah, not good signs.
No, I mean they've had the brake problem. They've got the cooling problems.
What was their result? Was it Ricciardo 14th, Norris 15th?
Yes, it was.
It'd be interesting to know what the issue is, because that car had pace in the first test, and genuine pace in comparable with Ferrari, to the point where you've got to think that if they'd have carried on with that trajectory into the second test, we'd legitimately be looking at McLaren, Red Bull, and Ferrari as the fastest teams, I think. I know that this brake problem they had, because they were boiling the brake fluid, weren't they?
It was something along those lines.
Yeah, I know that this fix they've brought in for the brake ducts is literally just like this is going to have to do this for 2 races, and we can fix this once the double header's out of the way. So that isn't done. I think somebody I can't remember whether it was driver. Is it driver 51? Is that his YouTube
driver
channel?
driver 61, Scott Mansell.
Yeah, I can't remember. No, it wasn't him then. It was somebody else. There's another aerodynamicist, an ex-Mercedes guy that's got a YouTube channel on.
Oh, I know the one you mean. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he's fucking great. It was either him or the race. I can't remember who I was watching. But they suggested that although the fix. Oh,
You're right.
there you are. Am I back?
You still that
Yeah.
you never went.
Yeah. Although it stopped the brake fluid boiling, it spoiled the airflow over the front of the car, and that would suggest all of a sudden why they've lost a load of downforce.
Mm.
And that would also explain why they can't get the tyres up to temperature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think there's a chance that car. I feel that there's more of a chance of McLaren sorting their problems out quicker than
I think he has gone this time.
Mercedes.
Oh, there
No,
it is.
there it is.
The way I look at it, because was I cutting out then?
You kind of it sounded like you had a dramatic pause mid Mercedes.
Oh, we had this the other week, didn't we?
Mm.
The thing with there must be a software thing, wasn't it? Anyway, because they at least had a quick car in the start. Mercedes have looked like they've had a bit of a handful all the way through this. So I feel that there's more chance of McLaren joining Mercedes, even though they're so far down back down the grid, than there is of Mercedes all of a sudden joining Red Bull and Ferrari.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it does. It definitely feels like, for McLaren, it's gonna be an easier fix. Because I think even sort of fairly early on in the race, we heard them telling, I think it was Ricciardo, to do more cooling and that temperatures were going up. So if they can fix that, hopefully, they should be moving forward a bit.
You'd like to hope, because we've seen McLaren make the comeback after the hell of the Honda years, and then to find themselves back down there again, it's like it's either boom or bust.
Yeah. Especially just coming off the back of them getting that like big sponsorship with Google and Android, it's for them to get this like big old money sponsor on the side of the car, and then all of a sudden be right down the back of the grid. That's not too fucking good for them either.
No.
Doesn't really look it now. Williams next, Latifi in 16th, and the returning Alex Albon, whose birthday I think it is today.
It is Albon's birthday at point of recording.
Yeah. Albon was in 13th.
He looks alright for a year off, doesn't he?
He doesn't seem too rusty. And the car, while not world beating, it proved to be faster than a couple of others.
I think Albon's trip into Q2 was George Russell-esque.
We could have Albon as the new Mr. Saturday. But Williams didn't really see them do a lot during the race, but they were solid.
Yeah, it was fine, wasn't it, for them? There was nothing really went wrong. Both cars made it all the way around. Would we have maybe expected a bit more from Latifi, given that he's in year 3 with that team now? To have a new teammate come in and outperform him is a bit...
Yeah. And Latifi was, whereas Albon was like ahead of a couple of people in racing people, Latifi did his job of just holding the back of the field up once again, didn't he? So that wasn't ideal by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the mini league table of Canadians with rich dads, I think he's still roughly in second place.
Did anybody hear what Ralph Schumacher said about Lance Stroll?
Oh, go on.
This should be good.
Given the fact that he's his teammate hasn't driven a Formula One car for a while, just got in the car and out qualified him. He said it was disgraceful, and Lance should find a new hobby.
Is he trying to get David Schumacher into Aston Martin, do we think?
Maybe.
Just what the world needs, another Schumacher. We'll do Aston Martin now. 'Cause, I think they're sort of roughly come up next. Stroll in 12th and Hulkenbach in 17th.
Yeah, I think he said the late call-up, he wasn't quite physically ready. He was a bit knackered by the end of the weekend, which is understandable.
I mean, it's not as late as one of the call-ups that he had last year when he had to drive across Germany to jump into the car for qualifying.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he probably would have preferred, particularly given how hot it is in Bahrain, I think he said he would have preferred to be in slightly better condition than he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is with Stroll's qualifying? How can he still not qualify?
He is the third best qualifier in that team.
It's madness, because he's done all right during the race. He's gone forward, but if he'd started 12th,
He would have finished
he'd
in the
probably
points.
been in the points.
Mm.
It's madness.
He's just got no one lap pace whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Does he take like 5 or 6 laps to get his tyres up to speed? By which time it's the end of Q1 and he's missed out.
That whole team is a fucking horror show, I'm afraid.
It is. I mean,
because let's not forget, they did the same thing. Very near did the same thing Haas did. Like, although, I know Haas just decided to sack off, development in order to build a car for this year. They kind of did the same thing because they bought the pink Mercedes. You know, I know the pink Mercedes last year came with its own problems because of the rake situation, but they still chose to buy an off-the-shelf car so they could focus all their efforts on this year.
Mm-hmm. And they've got slightly more budget than Haas.
Yeah.
They've got budget.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a team that not only is like put probably the most money of any other team into new facilities, with the new factory they're building, the new wind tunnel that they haven't built, but also a team that's willing to put the money in that are talking about building their own engines in 2026. So this isn't the trajectory of a team that you would feel has aspirations to become like a full-on independent manufacturer team.
Yeah, and if they are, they're going about it in completely the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very underwhelming opening race, I think, for them.
Is it Stroll? Is it Daddy Stroll?
I don't think it helps, does it? Because I think
doesn't seem to.
No, I think if you got Hulkenberg race fit and put him in the car alongside Vettel, realistically, I think you would have a better team than Stroll and Vettel.
Oh no, I meant Daddy Stroll.
But Daddy Stroll's the reason for Stroll Junior, isn't he? If he was independently picking his drivers based on talent, you probably wouldn't be picking Lance if you have an option for Hulkenberg.
Yeah, but even as in part of the team, it's the same thing happened with Williams, didn't it? As soon as the Stroll money came in, I know there was extra factors in with Williams as well, but it's that was a team that was third in the Constructors' Championship and then found themselves being bought out by a Canadian company.
Yeah, I don't think it helps, does it, that you have the person who's making the decisions not necessarily being a racing person. Obviously, he kept Otmar around for a couple of years at Aston, and now he's gone. Are the right people at the top making decisions? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it wrong. I quite like Martin Whitmarsh. He always come across really well.
But he's too much of a wet blanket to tell Lawrence Stroll, actually, no, mate, you're being a bit of a twat here. This is what we should be doing. Whereas I think Otmar probably did tell him that, and that's why he's out now.
I mean, don't forget they've got Mike Crack, nominally in charge. Is he there as a Lawrence Stroll yes man?
Possibly.
And Lawrence Stroll comes with the reputation of the only way to describe it is Bond villain who does micromanagement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not good. It's a shame as well because that was always a team that because that was Jordan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So apart from like the dark days of Jordan, like the last year, 2 years, you really had a team that used to punch well above its weight. Then
Yeah.
it became Force India. Force India was punching above its weight, and
Mm-hmm.
they were always like they were the mid 2000s Jensen Button of teams, because it was like instead of like if you just give them the car, it was like if you just give them the money, they might build the car.
Mm-hmm.
And that just doesn't seem to be happening.
No, I mean they've got the money now. There is no denying that they've got the money. It's what are they going to do with it? And at the moment, it appears to be not a great deal to show. Right, next up, I think we have. I think we'll do Alpine next, and there's not really a great deal to say. 'Cause I mean, Chris put it best on our little side chat where he said they just spent the race racing each other.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a nice battle between themselves, and that was that.
Yeah, Ocon came 7th, Alonso 9th. Ocon had a 5-second penalty for punting Mick Schumacher at the start.
He did, yes, I'd forgotten about that.
I think Alpine look all right. You
Yeah.
know? Like not. If Haas hadn't done so well, we'd be looking going, Alpine are in good shape here. It's just Haas have...
Yeah, double points finish is solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Alpine are sort of still in that group round about the middle. It's just the with AlphaTauri.
Yeah, they'll have good races, they'll have not so good races, and where they come overall will kind of depend on who else has their good races and not so good races.
Yeah, and do we include Haas in that group now, though?
Oh, maybe.
I think Haas are heading it.
The midfield. I mean, we may as well do the whole lot of Alpine, Alpha, and Haas.
Alpha.
Double Alpha. As long as Dizzy doesn't knock the mic stand over.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have a show without a podcast. But yeah, I mean, Tsunoda getting up into 8th. Zhou Guanyu in 10th on his debut. Apparently, China is the first country to have their first driver score points in a Grand Prix since, obviously, the first season.
First ever driver, yeah. Fair play. No, it's good for him. I think that good opening thing. Obviously, benefited a bit late on, didn't he, from Red Bull's implosion? But
yeah, but
I read that.
You take
story.
what you get.
I read that story. I can't remember which one of the sports stories it was, but the fact that somebody had decided, like, because I mean, it's such a non-fucking event. The whole thing of he was the first person from his country to score points on their debut. You know, it's great, and it's like,
are you suggesting this is a stat for the sake of a stat?
Was nothing going on that day. was nothing going on that day, and somebody turned around and said, like, we from whatever magazine this was, said, we've got Chinese investors. Could you find something good to say about Zhou, please?
All I can say is, if you don't like stats for the sake of stats, do not ever watch baseball.
Oof. Yeah.
The only sport where you're watching maths with danger of sport breaking out once every 10 minutes.
Yeah, and realistically, it's just pro rounders.
Yeah.
So.
There's probably a stat for the number of times it's been called that. Yeah, where were we? So, yeah, AlphaTauri in that group. Gasly was looking strong until his engine went foom.
Mm-hmm.
And was that the fuel pump as well, or was that something completely different?
No, that was unrelated, but I can't remember what it was. But I know they've made a big like, oh no, it's definitely not all three of them doing the same thing. But I can't remember what the issue was for him.
Yeah, the worry for Gasly now is, of course, that's one toasted engine, and that's going to be early penalties for him.
It's worrying it was 3 Red Bull power units as well.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was for Gasly now.
Apparently, in his own words, I'm not too sure what happened. Just out of turn 1, the whole car switched off. I parked it, and then a barbecue broke out.
That's fair. I don't think barbecue is the official technical term for what went on. But yeah.
Worrying how quick it caught fire.
Yeah, because it seemed to be just a little bit of smoke, and he just pulled up, as you do, and very quickly that was a lot of fire. It's a good job he moves fast.
Well, I saw a thing talking about when they were talking about the Red Bull failures, saying that this new fuel they're using burns hotter.
It's E10, isn't it? Which is slightly more ethanol in it than last year's.
So I was thinking to myself, if that's if the fuel burning hotter it results in cars catching fire quicker, that's not ideal.
It's not great, no, given what we saw with Grosjean a couple of years ago. It was battery, by the way, for Gasly, they reckon.
A battery for Gasly.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of worrying. I mean, does that come down to a cooling issue again?
That I do not know.
If it overheated, I'm not used to batteries bursting into flames.
No.
I stopped buying electrics from car boot sales a long time ago. I'll tell you, I'll ring my dad and ask him.
I was going to say,
that's
if only your dad had the same policy.
That's where he gets all his electrical equipment from. And I've been to that car boot sale in Tenerife. I got a York City alarm clock.
Mm. But yeah, and in terms of with the battery, yeah, don't know is the short answer. Don't know what the issue is there.
Then on to Alfa Romeo. Bottas, after not getting the car out during what was it, Q2, where he didn't even manage to set a lap. He did an installation lap and the car stayed in the garage. Qualifying next to Lewis.
Are you talking about P2?
Was it P2?
I was going to say in Q2,
not Q2.
He
P2.
Definitely did something because he
P2.
got through to Q3.
Sorry, flu meds. I might have got the day nurse and night nurse in the wrong order.
Fantastic.
P2 where he didn't actually turn a lap. Fantastic qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
And then had an absolute mare of a start.
And I don't think we ever really saw that there was a particular reason for it. Everyone around him started quicker and he went backwards, and I think he got tangled or had to avoid the Ocon Schumacher debacle and spent the rest of his day getting back to where he started.
Yeah, which I mean, he made it. He made it back up in the end. Again through luck a little bit, but getting it up to sixth was good, and obviously Zhou Intense shows that he knows how to get that car round.
Yeah.
We could be seeing good things from Alfa Romeo this year because it seems like they're going in.
I mean, 6th and 10th is better than anything we saw from them last year.
That is true, but they did only have one driver who was capable of scoring points on his day when he could be asked to have his day.
Yes.
I'm not even sure they had that.
No. But according to Bottas, he managed to cook his tyres on the way to the grid, apparently.
Aren't they meant to send them to the grid on used tyres and then put the race tyres on once they get there?
No, I think this is on the parade lap.
On the formation lap.
On the formation lap, yeah. So that's good. Don't do that again.
Yeah, that's a bit of a rookie mistake for somebody.
I mean, they were all rookies on these tyres, weren't they? But
yeah, I guess so. But you should at least
you live and learn
what to do and what not to do. It's not like they haven't had any shakedowns or testing or both.
Was anybody that sort of thought maybe this might be the making of Bottas? Because this was probably, as far as the drive goes on Sunday, it was probably his best performance, wasn't it? For ages.
This, for me, kind of reminds me of when Ferrari binned off Massa and he went to Williams and he had, as it was then, the young Bottas next to him. It could be sort of a similar sort of thing for Bottas, where he goes to a different team, has a bit more freedom, results are slightly more interesting. He's got this young teammate following him. It could be good for him.
Yeah, because this is when we see him as the sort of the senior experienced guy in the team. When I mean, to be honest, he's never not been while he's been at Mercedes. He's not been in a position of trying to put the car somewhere ahead of where it should be.
Well, the crazy thing is, where did he finish in the race? I forget.
Sixth.
Given what that Mercedes is like, there is absolutely no way he finishes sixth in that Mercedes. That's the really weird thing.
Very possible.
You know, if he was still in the car,
Yeah.
I would even go as far to say as that he might not have been in the points.
It is possible.
But don't forget, that was the old broken year-to-year contract, no stability, can't plan for the future because you don't know if there's going to be one Bottas. This is the new Bottas 7.0?
Possibly, yes.
Who knows? Like,
but yeah, if he has, but like Russell, I know we'll come on to Mercedes in a minute, but Russell ended up where he did because he had a really good start. If Bottas cooks his tyres on the way to the grid and goes backwards in that Mercedes, he's not finishing fourth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, nosebleed time. Haas.
Good Lord.
Crazy.
Rock stars.
Crazy.
In the words of Gunter Steiner,
excellent.
Fucking Viking comeback.
Yes.
That video is out there from K-Mag's team radio.
Yeah, the team radio they couldn't broadcast for many reasons.
Yeah. I was thoroughly dubious about, all right, they've said they're writing 2021 off, it's all going to focus on the 2022 car, and I was waiting for them to come out with an absolute donkey of a car.
No, they seem to have spent Mazepin's money quite well.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
And the fact that they brought K-Mag back, because we've always liked K-Mag on this podcast.
Of course.
Always. Never said a bad word about it. Okay, dog. Love him. Love me some Magnusons.
After a year in IMSA and effectively giving up the chance of titles in IMSA to come back to F1, I thought he was kind of setting himself up for a fall as well.
But no, he was well up for it, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was bloody rapid. That's his fastest lap in comparison with everyone else's. His fastest lap during the race was a 1:36.6, so that was the eighth fastest. Everyone else finished above him. Everyone else that finished above him, except for Bottas and the Red Bulls, finished ahead of him in the race. So yes, he had the pace for it. And oh god, there's a cat going in a litter tray if you can hear any scratching.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, I mean the car looks good. It looks stable. It looks balanced. I was a bit sorry for Mick Schumacher getting turned around at the start because that obviously affected his race.
Given that he was 12th, wasn't he?
11th.
11th, sorry, 11th. So yeah, if he doesn't have that trip with Ocon, he could have had points.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there was definite potential for a double points finish for Haas after the nightmare that was 2021. What I was planning on asking up until Sunday, have Haas made the right move getting Magnussen back? I don't think that's a question right this minute.
I don't think it's a question anyway. I think given what they have, because this is one thing to say. I think it's been lost a little bit in the praising of Magnussen is how underwhelming Schumacher was.
Yeah. Because he only had to outperform Mazepin, who we know wasn't necessarily. It was fairly low bar being set there.
It's his second year. Year. His teammate hasn't been in a car for over a year. Limited testing time in the car. I don't even think Magnussen got to go in the simulator. I don't think.
I think the first time he dealt with that car at all was at the test.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He
actually signed his contract in Bahrain.
Yeah, he turned up without a helmet. The helmet wasn't ready yet.
You see, it kind of made me like I know we've given Magnussen some stick. I'll fucking own it, but I also.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest and say some of it was deserved because he does have a tendency to be a bit reckless occasionally.
And
Yeah,
we
but
know
I-
know as well from the "suck my balls, honey" comment, he can take it. He he'd
Yeah.
let you know if he had a problem with you.
But like, I'm a sucker for cult of personality, and I'm a sucker for. There's two ways I like support people. I either like really really respect them, or I want them to be my friend, and where like seeing Magnussen go into the garage and how happy everybody was, and then the story. Did you hear the story about his contract where him coming back to Formula One was a verbal agreement without a manager involved with Gunther Steiner, and Gunther just turned around and said, "We'll just give you your normal 2-year contract," and he said, "Yes, that'll be fine," and then headed off to Bahrain after a phone call. And I fucking love in the world of Formula One where everything is so fucking sanitized. I love the fact that there wasn't even like a gentleman's handshake agreement. It was just a conversation over a phone that had somebody become a Formula One driver again, and I love the fact that happened. And it's like, obviously I'm always going to have the soft spot for Alonso as far as my like non-English driver goes, but Magnussen can fill my Kimi hole.
That sounds like it's a very rare...
Token Scandinavian. Sorry,
very,
Bottas.
very. I was going for a very rare biological condition.
You got him right in the Kimmy hole.
Right, Mercedes next after this little sort of brief pause and jump cut.
Less cat
So-
shitting.
Oh, that's a good one to come back
Oh,
to.
sorry, I didn't realise we'd quite hit go then.
Oh,
Sorry.
I've hit go. Yes, there was an emergency break. Thank you very much, Dizzy. She's still washing herself. So anyway, yeah, Mercedes. Where has it gone? Where has the pace gone? Was the pace in the side pods all along?
Maybe.
The car's difficult to drive. Porpoising like crazy.
But it finished.
It finished. So we know the fuel pumps work.
Yeah.
And the engine doesn't burst into flames. Best of the Mercedes runners.
Yeah, I think that's it. It was the best of a bad situation, wasn't it, for Mercedes? And if this is how they're finishing when their car is shit, once they make it work, it could be back to old Mercedes.
Yeah, hopefully, if they do get the car working this season, hopefully it just turns it into a bit of a three-way fight. Rather than all of a sudden we get to Australia and everything works and that's it. They've gone off into the distance.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think it's going to be a quick fix.
Yeah. Even if it is a quick fix and they manage to fix that car, I don't see them all of a sudden just being like a second quicker than Ferraris. It's such a big gap to make up.
Yeah, I mean, how much off the pace were they? Let's have a look at again the fastest lap chart. Lewis was 5th fastest with a 1:36.2. George 6th with a 1:36.3. That's well over a second and a half behind Leclerc's fastest lap of 1:34.5.
Yeah, I mean, they said that they turned it into a test, didn't they? I think that was because realistically, for most of the race until the craziness happened, they looked like they were just stuck where they were. I think it just looked like they were gapping each other, and whatever was being run was being run.
When was Leclerc's fastest lap as well? Was it on one of his out laps while trying to keep Verstappen out the way? Because that's obviously a slightly different impetus to
51.
So probably not, actually. Clean air after the safety car?
Possibly, yeah. Verstappen also set his fastest lap on the same lap. 9/10 of a second down.
Okay, intriguing.
New tyres as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For Leclerc straight after the safety car.
That's very true.
Yeah. I mean, George Russell's best result in an F1 car.
Are you not counting Belgium?
when he's done more than 2 laps.
Yeah, it's just a shame, isn't it, that the Mercedes went up there as well.
Yeah, I don't think this will last all season. I think Mercedes, they're the kind of team that will find a fix and they will throw the hours into it. And I think we'll see them challenging for wins this season.
I wouldn't be surprised for them to take a jump towards Red Bull and Ferrari this week. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, because when you look where they were, they were completely out of it. And then all of a sudden, come qualifying, they were half in the mix all of a sudden. So it's, if they did that in the space of the weekend, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility they can be more competitive. I don't know whether they'll be quite there, but further away from Haas would be a start.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility either that in terms of them jumping towards Red Bull, that Red Bull slide back a little bit, trying to sort out what's going on with their fuel pumps.
Yep. Yeah.
And then Ferrari drive off into the sunset.
That'd be sad, wouldn't it?
I mean, don't forget, Haas currently sits 3rd in the Constructors' Championship.
That's kind of crazy.
Get your head around that. Right, that leaves us with Ferrari. You can't really say a dominant win, because they were being challenged by Red Bull right up to the point where Red Bull went boom. A dominant reliability.
Yeah,
for
looked
Ferrari,
good, didn't it?
We've often seen Ferraris be iffy at the start of a season, because it has been known to take a couple of races for the car to bed in, but for once we've actually got a red car that's hit the ground running, and they appear to be standing up to the new regulations pretty well. A pole for Leclerc obviously showed that it's got single lap pace and a fastest lap in the race, 9/10 faster than anyone else. Definitely shows that it's pretty racy as well.
I'm going to point this out. It's not unknown for Ferrari to win the first race of a season.
This is true. Although, was this their first one since 2010, did someone say?
No. Would that be Vettel?
It was Alonso.
Vettel won his first race in a Ferrari.
Oh, I didn't think he did. I thought he won about his 3rd in Malaysia.
Or maybe he did. See, I've got in my head that he won in Australia, when Australia was the first race. I might be wrong.
Oh, he must have done, actually. The one where Haas were wankers.
Yeah.
He must have won that one, yeah.
All right, let's...
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Can I find Ferrari's all-time results anywhere?
It will have a dedicated Wikipedia page. No, you are right. They did win that one, didn't they? Would that have been 2017?
2017, yes. Yes, Vettel won that. And that was the first time since 2010.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's not unlike Ferrari to come out of the blocks good in a season. So it's like this every year, isn't it? Every year something happens in the first race, and everyone goes, "Oh well, championship over," forgetting that they blinked over the winter, and now there's 46 races in a season.
There was some stat this weekend as well about how was it for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever, whoever's finished second in the opening race has been world champion. So all aboard the Sainz hype train.
I think quietly this race was really fucking positive for Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Because he was nowhere, well, not nowhere, but he was nowhere compared to Leclerc, and he slowly chipped away at it, slowly clawed his way back to the point where he was there to take second place. Now, if you have a bad weekend and you finish second,
it's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, don't forget, we've been saying this about Sainz since he started F1, which is pretty much since we started this podcast. He just gets on with it, and all of a sudden he's there at the finish, and it's like, where the hell did he come from?
Yeah.
I'm also pointing the fact out that Leclerc, unless something's changed, and I know I'm not on the Leclerc hype train, never really have been. He's fragile. We've seen him before when pressure's on Leclerc, he fucking throws it into a wall in Baku or something like that. You know, he has a tendency to lose his head and to get very emotional. And I think that's what would lose you a battle with Carlos Sainz, because Sainz feels a bit, maybe not quite as spectacular and explosive as Lewis Hamilton, but he's another one of those drivers that is just, he's going to consistently be there all year. You know, if you give him a car capable of finishing on the podium, he'll be on the podium every opportunity that car can get there.
I know what you mean. Like with Leclerc, he can be a bit, it's fine, everything's going well, or it's shit.
Yeah.
And there isn't really this kind of it's all right period for him.
Yeah, just looking at previous results, and he can go from podium in the first race to a retirement in 11th.
Yeah, he's a bit binary.
Yeah,
Or he can be.
Yeah, he has a tendency to go all over the place sometimes. It'd be interesting to see how the rest of the season pans out for him. But Sainz is looking good. The car's looking good. If Leclerc's had maybe it's just a case of sports. You know, need to see a good sports psychologist just to get over that, just to sort of take that final step to being the next Iceman. Although with him being from Monaco, ice is probably just diamonds there.
Tell you what, if for a fiver's punt, it's probably the best time to ever put a world champion bet on a Mercedes right now.
Yeah, probably is the longest odds you've seen for a while.
Yeah, probably get something better than evens for once. Right, that just leaves us Rockstars and Wankers. Rockstars, definitely Haas, Gunter and Kevin.
Yes.
Yep.
Ferrari, for making a car that actually worked first time.
Yep. Honda engines, Wankers again, or Honda, whatever those problems were.
Red Bull, Honda, Power, Train, Pump, Inc.
Yep.
Wasn't that by Gorillas?
Possibly.
Any other nominations? I mean, I'm sure we'll get some over Twitter and Discord over the next few days.
Aston Martin, Wankers.
But Hulkenberg Rockstar for coming in at short notice.
Yeah.
And out qualifying his teammate.
His qualifying performance, but I mean, is that more of a story of his teammate than him?
Possibly.
Yeah. It was just a thing, wasn't it? The whole Aston Martin thing is a bit of a letdown. I was really hoping, I thought they were going to be a team that was going to be like where Haas is now. You know, I thought they'd be up there with McLaren and snapping at the heels of like whoever was the slowest of the top teams. But that's not a quick fix.
No, I think it's going to be a long year for them, and Lawrence is going to get involved a little too much. Probably. Expect to see management changes there before the end of the year.
Oh, God. Martin Whitmarsh is going to get sacked again, isn't he?
I think Aston Martin are in danger of becoming the new Ferrari, where, for every loss, they sacrifice a manager to the gods of motor racing.
I think Aston Martin should get Ron Dennis back.
Oh, Christ.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine him and Lawrence Stroll in the same video?
Yeah, I can. I really can. Oh. And I can imagine the boardroom as well. It's like 2 hours of them just in a stare-off.
It will be 2 hours of them spacing the chairs so that they're identically apart, and measuring the chairs so that one isn't taller than the other. I mean, did you see the Amazon series about Stoffel, Grand Prix driver? It was sort of in the last days of Ron Dennis, and actually in the McLaren boardroom they had a carbon fibre spacer that they put between the chairs as they were laying them out, so they were all an identical distance.
Any other situation, that guy's
I mean, yeah, you get the ultimate sweating the small stuff and the ultimate micromanager. Actually, yeah, bring him back, because then the people that can actually do the work will just be left to their own devices to get on with it without being told how to do everything down to the last millimetre.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, 1 minute you're making sure all the tiles aren't cracked, then you sort of you're making this whole building. You're building this fucking crazy Bond-esque layer. Then you're separating the chairs with a spacer, and before you know it, you go, "Oh fuck! I've turned into Jeffrey Dahmer." Yeah, he's fucking crazy.
Although it has to be said, the McLaren Lair is one of the coolest buildings I have ever set foot in.
It is the coolest building I've ever set foot in, and probably will remain to be the coolest building I've ever set foot in. And even now, watching whenever McLaren's on the TV, it feels special looking at it.
Do you do the "I've been there"?
Absolutely, on my own.
Yeah, it's
sat watching TV. I've been there. Like,
it's gonna get to the point where you'll be saying it that much. Shunt Junior will be like, "Oh, shut up, Dad."
Yeah, probably.
Right, we have another race this weekend because we're halfway through a double header. Back to the roller coaster ride that is the Jeddah Street Circuit. Now, they've made a couple of modifications this time. There's a couple of corners that they've widened.
By modifications, do you mean they've actually finished building it?
Yes. Yes.
Because it wasn't quite there, was it, last time? Let's be honest.
No, but these are definite track mods. Although some journalists are complaining about crap views from the hotel room windows, or not having views, or not having windows in the hotel.
Yes.
But yeah, they've widened a couple of corners, but it was a bit of a behind the sofa fest last time round.
There were a few, weren't there, where there weren't necessarily big run-off areas, and it's quite a high-speed track, and it was a bit interesting in places last time.
Yeah, I mean, Max will be going into this one looking to make up for losing out on that qualifying lap, which was massively faster than anyone else right up until the last corner when he basically tried to take the wall round it with him. And no one knows how well these cars are going to perform on street circuits because they've got it's a totally different aerodynamic characteristics because it's more of a funnel effect with the close-in walls. So there's a chance with all the aero being under the car and a massive difference in pressure, we could be getting even faster speeds than last time. This could be a reverse of what these new regulations are meant to have sorted out. And it's a later race start than before. I think it's sets off flag drops at 6 o'clock UK time.
This
on
is
Sunday.
weirdly late.
So are they expecting it to be massively hot during the day, and then they'll be racing on a cooling track? But if it's going to be a cooler track than previous, then again that's going to add to the speed because cooler tracks are faster tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So this could actually be even more terrifying than last year's race.
This has 1-2 red flags all over it, doesn't it? Restart.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Restart City.
Yeah, we are not getting a lights out. Then
And away we go.
90 minutes later, the flag drops.
Yeah.
You know, we are getting stops, we are getting pauses, we are getting the track cleared, we are getting the bloody sweepers out.
Mm-hmm.
More of it. Like, I mean, I love Formula One anyway. Like, I enjoy sitting and watching the whole race. Don't get me wrong, but let's all be honest. Like corner one, lap one is the fucking really, really exciting bit. So give me 3 of them.
Yeah, bit of carnage. It just kind of mixes up the strategies.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a bit of flavour.
Clean fun. No one needs to get hurt.
Yeah.
Just a wheel here and there.
Yeah, just a little bit of damage only. That's what we need.
We also need some predictions.
Oh, shite.
So, who's going first?
Hadn't even thought about it,
No,
Sean.
I hadn't thought that.
Off you pop.
Right, I will
Ladies
go.
first.
I'll go Sainz,
Yeah.
Verstappen, Russell.
Oh, you think the comeback's on?
I've literally no idea what I'm predicting. I'm just thinking if there's going to be carnage, weirdy podium.
Right, I am going Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz. And Lee?
George Russell.
Just Russell. Everyone else is going to crash.
Has he gone?
Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen.
That is interesting. We will get Chris's prediction off him sometime between now and Sunday.
Do you know what? I genuinely had my face, my hand over my eyes then, thinking of that. Like you know, like when in Star Trek they have to divert power to shields. I was like, I don't have the brain capacity to try and think about this and see.
So you can never say we don't put any thought into our predictions, putting in so much thought that you are rendered blind.
Yeah, we'll get Chris's by Sunday. If you want to take part in the predictions, go to the website, threelegs4wheels.com, hover your mouse over the game section, or tap on the game section, and you can put your own predictions in. Top 3, pole position, fastest lap, how many non-classified, either non-starters or non-finishers, and is there going to be a safety car or not? I would tick that. It will give you a free point.
Oh, we do Formula Lee again? Do we need to do that?
We do. We've not had the results yet because the spreadsheet intern hasn't provided me with them yet.
Sacked.
I was going to say, have we shot them?
No, we may have to get yet another spreadsheet intern if he doesn't book his ideas up.
Absolutely not in my name.
But it's gonna be Bahrain. Sorry, it's gonna be Saudi. It's not Bahrain. We've just done Bahrain. We'll have the results as soon as, but it's gonna be Saudi. It's gonna be a 2-week one because we've got 2 weeks between races. Mm-hmm. Lee, you picked the car last week, so Sean, you can pick the car for this week. Bearing in mind they're all 2021 spec cars.
What was the car last week?
It was a Williams last week.
I think we should go for the Ferrari then, since they've had a good week, even though it's last year's. Yeah, Ferrari.
Ferrari. We'll do it in the dry again. So that's realistic mode. Ferrari in the dry round Saudi. You've got 2 weeks, which will be sometime at the start of April because I've not got a calendar in front of me and I don't know when it is. But it's first Monday in April. You need to go to Discord to put your entries in, and there's a link to Discord on the website, threelegs4wheels.com, under the contact us section. So join there, send your screenshots in. Right. Not much news to say, apart from it looks like we're getting a Las Vegas Grand Prix. Woo.
And an Africa-based Grand Prix is being buzz around that as well at the minute.
Which everyone hopes is Kyle Army.
Yes.
Once it gets properly upgraded, because I think it's only suitable for testing at the moment, or possibly not even that. But Stefano Domenicali reckons there could be up to 30 races.
That'll make him popular with the mechanics and the like, won't it?
I'd like a word about this because I was watching I was reading stuff on social media today. When did everybody get so concerned about other people's work schedules? Like all I saw was from supposed Formula One fans was, oh my God, how do you expect people to do this? How do you expect people to do so much travel and stuff like that? Like, have they any real idea that there's people that spend their whole fucking year traveling? There's people that go join the army and spend the majority of the year away from their families.
I suppose when you sign up to the army, though, that's what you're getting yourself into. Whereas if you're an F1 mechanic when it was sort of 17 races a season, and all of a sudden in a couple of years it's doubled pretty much.
It's not been that for a while though, has it? 17 races.
It's not that long ago.
But if you work on oil rigs and you're X amount of months on, and then you have a week off and stuff like that. And the top and bottom of it is jobs don't suit the people suit the jobs. So if you're in there for that, and if you don't suit that anymore, then you don't do that anymore. And somebody that schedule fits their lifestyle is going to gravitate towards that job. And it just seems that there is a frankly fucking lazy, or a relatively, what seems to be lazy component of people out there that even the fucking very idea of hard work and dedication makes them so uncomfortable they have to say that it's wrong. And I don't understand. I feel that if people are going to put time and effort into doing these things, some people put their entire year's worth of effort into doing something. Like say someone wants to go and like climb Kilimanjaro or something like that, and they will put a year's worth of effort and dedicate their life to doing something that essentially gives them nothing back in return. At least when you look at people in Formula One teams, they're getting paid reasonably handsomely, and they're doing something that they're really passionate about at the same time.
Unless you're at McLaren, then you get given Freddos.
Maybe, yeah. But I just don't get where this happened when this started. Well, surely we should admire these people, not try and start playing fucking faux violins for them.
I think it is just sort of the shifting goalposts of it, though, is that if you signed up for one thing and you have a work contract that says you're going to be away from home for 20 weeks of the year, and then all of a sudden it's gone up to 30, then there's a breach of contract.
Yeah, but there has to be flexibility in that. There must be.
If it's not written into the contract, then no, there doesn't.
No. But
legally,
even just those contracts must have that in, because essentially you're working for a Formula One team, but that team is working for Formula One.
But you've got what do you call it? The agreement where they have up to 25 races a year. I know they've changed that
the Concord
now.
Agreement.
The Concord Agreement. That's the one I couldn't remember the word for. So yeah, if your contract still says up to 25,
it's up to 24 in the current one.
Up to 24, then yeah, for the other 6, you can now go change your own tyres, love.
I would put money on it that the Concord Agreement is tied with the teams. So it's the teams negotiate what they do, and the personnel are contracted to the teams, which is.
But you'll still have
do what we require you to do.
Sorry, Lee, you glitched there. I thought you'd done. But yeah, no, you will still have within any employment contract, you will still have what your expectations are for your working hours over the course of either a week or a month or a year, whatever terms it is.
But would it change? I mean, that's the thing. It's the travel, and that'd be different, because if you're working for McLaren all year, and if you're not at a race, you're at the factory. Mm-hmm. You're still doing the same hours. You're just doing it in a different country.
But you're away from your family. You're traveling. You're in a different time zone.
But then don't do it. Like part of being in a global sport is being around the globe.
Dizzy, stop being a twat.
Sorry, I'm just dealing with a cat trying to trash the living room.
But yeah, it's still the principle, though. If you have a piece of legally binding paper that says you are going to be at home for a certain number of weeks of your working year, and then that changes, and your contract is not, like a limited term deal, if that's your rolling contract, and that changes and you don't agree to it, then that is essentially a constructive dismissal if you choose not to do it.
Oh, it could be. I mean, well, I suppose the thing would be then because you've got teams which are made up of so many people, and only a few of those people go to the races.
Yeah, so you have your traveling squad, don't you?
Yeah. So I'm sure there's people back at home base which are just itching to get on that team that goes around the world with the cars. So that's what I mean. The people that are open to do these things will. But
you'll still have to reach a financial settlement with someone who chooses not to do it because their terms of job have changed.
Well, no, unless the terms of your job are working for McLaren. That's it's so. Well, you're now working from home for the next for this year. If you can't go to the races, then you work from the factory.
But if you have in your employment contract something that says you're race-based for this many and then you work from home the rest of the time, if that changes either way and then you go, I don't like that, you can sue your employer.
Yeah, but that's how it works.
Well, that's how employment law in the UK works.
No, but that's if that's what the contracts are like for the Formula One teams. Because that's what we're doing here. We're kind of guessing at what a mechanic.
From my understanding of hearing mechanics talk about what the travelling mechanics talking about their contract, they would have a certain split within their. Sorry, Dizzy, will you bugger off? They would have within their contract a certain amount of this is when you're at home, this is how long you're on the road.
Yeah, but I mean if that's the case, then that's something that'll end up getting ironed out. And
Yeah.
like I said, if from that point on, if somebody doesn't want to do 30 races, then they won't do them. Simple as that.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if teams end up bringing in like a squad rotation system.
I think that's where you would head with 30, isn't it? You would have sort of two, like they do with the paddock, don't they? Will you leave my fucking mic stand alone now, you twat? Bloody cats, who'd have them? Yeah, they would have, what is it? You have one paddock that's travelling.
Arrows.
You have one that's travelling at any one time, one that's heading to a race, and one that's at a race. So they probably have that with
Probably
people.
probably have that with people as well. It's just that the other venues that they're talking about bringing in, and Dominic Hartley said that no historic circuits are safe.
At which point they all
Yeah.
start wafting their contracts.
Yeah.
I feel like a lawyer. I feel like I'm saying contract a fuck ton at the minute.
Yeah, because we could be looking at losing Spa even after they've just spent 30 million on redoing the track.
To be fair, that
I'd
did
happily
need doing.
lose Monaco.
And yet, ironically, that's the safest one on the calendar, even though it pays the less.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually pay.
It's the sponsors, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
the non-direct to F1 money.
That's an absolute snooze fest this year, isn't
Oh
it?
God,
With these cars.
because they are. They're just going to be all in a line.
Yeah.
More so than normal, because I don't think there's going to be any scope for overtaking.
No, they're too wide.
Whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it'd be interesting to see what they do with these extra races. And Las Vegas, apparently, it's gonna be a night race, and it's going to include some of the Las Vegas Strip.
Oh,
And it looks like they're going to have to change the weekend about completely, and it'll be local time a Saturday night race. Otherwise, it'll be in the early hours of Monday morning for the European audience, which I don't think they want.
and are they thinking a Sunday morning in Las Vegas is probably a no-go?
Chances are, because they'll have to hoover up all the drunks. But yeah, they want it at night with all the casino lights on and looking very Vegasy.
Yes.
So yeah, it could be sort of middle of the night on Saturday. So we'd have to watch it sort of partying like we're in Vegas.
That'd be cool. I'm looking forward to a Vegas one. That would be good.
I think it would look the part, wouldn't it?
Yeah, as
Definitely.
long
Is 3 too many?
For the US,
I don't know.
possible.
I don't know, because I mean, three, the ones that are on the calendar, you're looking at sort of East, Central, and West. And somebody pointed out on Twitter, sort of the size of the US, it takes, what was it, 1 day, 12 hours to drive from Miami to Austin.
Oh, okay.
So, it's big. And has the US got the audience for it? I think it probably has these days.
I imagine with your Vegas crowd as well, it wouldn't be exclusively Americans, would it? You'd get a lot of tourists.
I think that's what the aim is. Like the race in Miami isn't just for people from Florida; it's for retired people as well.
I'm looking forward to next year when Formula One has to all of a sudden spin its way out of having the Russian Grand Prix again.
Well, they've cancelled the contract formally, haven't they? So
Yeah, they cancelled the contract with the promoters, and 'cause it was the same promoters for Sochi as it was going to be for St. Petersburg next year.
Yeah.
So there's no contract with the Russian promoters at the moment, and you never know if things change in the next few years. We'll get the Russian Grand Prix back, and it'll be a back-to-back with the North Korean.
ooh,
Yeah. Well, we're going to Saudi Arabia next, so it's. Yeah, I think it's fucking hilarious. I think it's hilarious when that Formula One takes a moral stand and then goes, and next, Saudi Arabia.
Believe me, if North Korean currency was readily accepted anywhere, we would be having the Pyongyang one.
I still think that would have been the best thing they could do, is do the you could have the Korean Grand Prix, which went over no man's land.
goes in and out.
Yeah.
Well, actually, from watching videos in North Korea, they could have it as a street race, and they wouldn't need to close the roads because the roads in the city seem to be the most underused things ever.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
Politics aside, that's probably it for this week. Like I say, sorry for being late, and sorry for all the coughing and sniffing and sneezing during the pod. Normal service will hopefully be resumed next Monday, and we should have a returning Chris Flood. Also, if anyone can get hold of Jamie Chadwick, we'd love to get her on the show now that she's re-signed with Williams, and for her to become the third W Series driver on the podcast, behind the already 2 friends of the show ones.
Yes.
Right, if you want to get in touch, I've plugged the website enough, 3legs4wheels.com. You can get access to Formula E details on there, link to the Discord. We're at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on all the main socials. Individually, we all are
At Sean Cowper.
At a total shunt.
At Pablo100, and Chris is at Flood21. If you want to support the podcast, just go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels. You can pledge there from as little as $1, £1, €1 a month. And it keeps us ticking over in cold remedies at the moment. We'll be back next week. We'll have had the second race of the season, so we may well know where the pecking order's starting to level out. But it's going to
Probably won't, to be fair.
Actually, no, it's going to be absolute carnage. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll be on live chat over Discord over the weekend. So we will see you then. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.